Imagine the scene. It's the year 1350, or perhaps a little earlier, a little later. The smell, oh, the smell. It's the first thing that hits you, even before you open your eyes. A nauseating blend of open sewers, accumulated garbage, human sweat, animals, smoke, and the unmistakable, ever-present odor of death. You are born into a dark, damp room, perhaps in a working-class neighborhood near Notre Dame Cathedral, still under construction, a distant promise of beauty amidst the filth. No doctor, just a midwife whose hands are likely as clean as the streets. Your mother's scream blends with the rats scurrying in the walls. You take your first breath and the air filling your tiny lungs is heavy, laden with miasma and disease. Congratulations, you've just arrived in medieval Paris. And trust me, the party is just getting started. Your first years are a sensory overload, a relentless assault on your senses. Your home? A cramped hovel, shared with family. Perhaps a few animals, too, nestled in a labyrinth of alleyways that might as well be called Shit Alley or Open Sewer Street. Yes, similar names really existed, adding a touch of authentic charm to your surroundings. Human and animal waste flow freely, mixing into the thick mud where you, as a child, innocently play. Every puddle is a teeming petri dish, a vibrant culture of bacteria just waiting for an invitation. Every small scratch, every minor cut, becomes a potential gateway for the next fever to claim you. This constant exposure to filth builds something. Perhaps not immunity, but a grim resilience to it all. The air itself feels heavy, thick with the stench and invisible threats, a constant reminder of your precarious existence. You learn to navigate this squalid landscape, an unwitting expert in avoiding the worst of the human detritus. Good luck indeed. Your childhood is a masterclass in survival, a truly unfiltered Parisian experience. Forget refined French cuisine. Your daily menu is a harsh reality of survival, far from any gourmet dreams. It consists primarily of black bread, often hard as rock, and frequently adorned with an unwelcome bloom of mold. This staple is usually accompanied by watery porridge, a meager and unsatisfying attempt at sustenance. If luck truly smiles upon your family, a rare and cherished event, you might get a piece of rancid meat. This would only be on a feast day, a brief, fleeting moment of protein in an otherwise barren diet. Hunger is not merely a concern. It's a constant, gnawing companion, always present, never truly satisfied. Malnutrition is as common as bad breath, an unspoken epidemic that sculpts the bodies of the populace. Your body, surprisingly, adapts to living on the edge, pushing its limits daily, silently yearning for the next crumb. Every meal is a victory, every scrap a treasure, ensuring you remain just on the brink of enduring. This involuntary fasting shapes your entire existence, making you eternally grateful for the smallest morsel. Books? What good are they to you in this unforgiving world? A luxury for the privileged few. Unless you are born into nobility or destined for the clergy, your education takes place elsewhere. Your classroom is the chaotic, unforgiving streets of Paris, a place of harsh, practical lessons. You learn to run, to hide from danger, and to skillfully avoid the often brutal city guards. Distinguishing the pungent smell of trouble from a mere passing inconvenience becomes an essential skill. You quickly learn to discern a genuine cry for help from the drunken ramblings of a Saturday night reveler. Your practical skills involve cunningly sneaking through crowded markets and mastering the art of haggling. Perhaps, with an extraordinary stroke of luck, you might even learn a trade. A rare path to stability. This trade, if acquired, might just guarantee you won't starve to death. At least not immediately. Your street-smart education is invaluable, preparing you for a life where survival demands quick wits. Just when you thought life couldn't possibly get any worse, a new horror arrives, eclipsing all others. The Black Death. It's not just a disease, it's a cataclysm, a force of nature unleashed upon humanity. Swollen tumors, agonizing fever, debilitating delirium are the telltale, horrifying symptoms of its grasp. You watch in terror as your parents, your siblings, your neighbors fall like flies, taken by its swift brutality. Carts laden with contorted bodies become a daily, soul-numbing sight, an ordinary part of your grim reality. The sweet, putrid smell of decay becomes the city's new, sickening olfactory signature, an inescapable presence. Half of Paris's population, or even more, simply vanishes, swallowed by the insatiable maw of the plague. Every sneeze becomes a potential death sentence, a harbinger of the inevitable, chilling you to the bone. Every ache in your body is a terrifying alert, a whispered warning that your time might be next. A true gift from the Middle Ages, offering a stark, brutal lesson in the fragility of human existence. The church stands as the only constant, a towering presence. Yet it's hardly a sanctuary of peace. Priests thunder from pulpits, preaching of a scorching hell, menacing demons, and sins that cost salvation. You kneel in cold, cavernous cathedrals, feeling the immense, crushing weight of collective guilt upon you. Meanwhile, life outside the sacred walls is a more immediate, tangible hell, a daily struggle for survival. War rages, famine gnaws at bellies, and disease relentlessly claims lives, an ever-present, terrifying reality. Heaven seems like an impossibly distant dream, a whisper of hope in a world consumed by suffering. Hell, however, feels chillingly palpable, a stark, undeniable reality found within the city's filthy streets. Your faith is a complicated blend of fear and desperate hope, a desperate plea for divine intervention. The fear of eternal damnation often outweighs the comfort of salvation, given the earthly torment you face. It's a stark reminder that salvation, both spiritual and physical, feels agonizingly out of reach in your daily life. From an incredibly young age, your life is meticulously defined by unyielding, back-breaking labor. Whether you're an apprentice cooper, a stonemason's helper at the seemingly endless cathedral, or carrying water, or hauling firewood, your days are long, grueling, and utterly devoid of any comfort or respite. You toil for endless hours under a scorching sun, or endure the biting, unforgiving cold day after day. There are no rights for you, no holidays to anticipate, and certainly no concept of retirement benefits. Your young body, resilient as it may be, quickly becomes deformed, worn down by the relentless physical strain. Old age is an unimaginable luxury, a distant dream that few attain with their health and spirit intact. Each sunrise brings a new day of monotonous, arduous work, promising little more than exhaustion. Your body becomes a tool, a machine, in service to the relentless demands of your harsh existence. This ceaseless grind means you exist to work, without much hope for a life beyond sheer physical exertion. The law is brutally arbitrary, dispensed without mercy, often dictated by the whim of those in power. Thieves face horrific punishments. Their hands are cruelly severed, or they are summarily hanged in public. Heretics, those who dare to question the established dogma, can be burned alive in the town square. Nobles and feudal lords operate above the law, doing precisely as they please, their power unchecked. Your life, as a mere commoner, is valued less than that of a well-bred, sturdy horse. A chilling truth. Should you have the misfortune of crossing an ill-tempered guard or an influential lord, your existence could end. It could be extinguished in a mere blink of an eye, without any chance for appeal or justice. There is no fairness, only power, and your place is at the very bottom of this unforgiving hierarchy. The sword, or the hangman's noose, represents the ultimate authority, enforcing a terrifying order. Survival often depends on invisibility, on not drawing unwanted attention from the powerful. We return to the smell, but now with a more profound, almost poetic level of detail and appreciation. It's the constant, overwhelming blend of raw sewage, an unseen river flowing through the city's veins. Add to that organic garbage, slowly decaying, releasing its putrid aroma into the heavy air. Mix in the sweat of thousands of bodies that rarely know the luxury of a thorough washing, a human musk. Intertwine it with the acrid smoke from countless cooking fires and chimneys, a persistent, choking haze. Don't forget the omnipresent animal dung, a rich, earthy, yet offensive contribution to the city's bouquet. There's the unmistakable odor of spoiled meat from the bustling, often unsanitary market stalls. And yes, piercing through it all, the metallic, sickly, sweet effluvium of blood and death, always lingering. Paris was an all-encompassing olfactory experience, a scent that clung to your clothes, your skin, your very soul. It wasn't just a smell, it was an identity, a constant, unforgettable reminder of where and when you existed. Of course, it wasn't all misery and despair. There were indeed fleeting glimmers of something approaching joy. There were the boisterous, vibrant fairs, filled with the exotic sounds of jugglers and the tales of jongleurs. Religious holidays brought grand processions, a spectacle of color and solemnity amidst the grime. Perhaps, on these rare occasions, you might even get a sip of watered-down wine, a small indulgence. The truly extraordinary stroke of luck might bring the chance to eat a cake, sweetened with precious honey. These were tiny oases of normalcy and transient fun, moments to briefly forget the grinding reality. But always, lurking at the edges of your awareness, was the harsh reality of hunger, disease, and violence. They remained ever present, like a dragon breathing its fiery breath just beyond the city's horizon. These brief respites were cherished, but they never truly erased the underlying current of struggle. Each moment of lightness was a stark contrast to the ever-present shadows, highlighting your tough existence. As if the plague and constant hunger weren't enough to contend with, you also had the specter of war. The 100 Years' War, a seemingly endless conflict that stretched for generations, cast a long shadow. This meant rampaging soldiers marauding through the countryside, indiscriminately looting precious harvests. It meant crushing, exorbitant taxes levied to finance distant armies and their endless, bloody campaigns. There was the constant, terrifying threat of invasion, of enemy forces breaching your city's walls. Your life, a mere commoner, felt like an insignificant pawn in a grand game played by kings and queens. A game you neither understood nor had any power to influence, yet whose decisions directly impacted you. Their choices determined whether you would have food on your table tomorrow or starve. It was an added layer of terror, a reminder that even survival wasn't entirely in your hands. This war defined an era, adding profound insecurity to an already precarious, challenging existence. You reach old age. If you're lucky enough to reach it, that is. Your teeth are rotten, your back is hunched from relentless labor, and your face is a map of scars from smallpox or some other disease you miraculously survived. You lie on your deathbed, a straw mattress in the dark corner of your single room, as a priest murmurs prayers in Latin you don't understand. The last scent you register is that of Paris itself, a pungent, unforgettable blend of filth, resilience, and a grandeur you never had the time or luxury to appreciate. You lived a brutal, short, and unluxurious life, but you lived it. And perhaps, just perhaps, that is a victory in itself. So, the next time you grumble about slow Wi-Fi, endless traffic, or that annoying queue at the supermarket, remember, it could be much, much worse. You could be in Paris, in the Middle Ages, fighting for survival every single day, without a decent bathroom and with a stench that would make your eyes water. So, did you enjoy this rather smelly and dramatic trip through time? Tell me in the comments below. What was the absolute worst hardship you think you'd face if you were born in medieval Paris? The smell? The plague? The hunger? I'm genuinely curious to know what would give you the most chills. Don't forget to hit that like button if you had fun and if you're grateful you weren't there. Subscribe to the channel for more controversial historical journeys, and I'll see you in the next video where I promise to take you somewhere. Maybe a little less stinky. Thanks for watching.